of duality. Masculine, feminine, black and white. These are tricky kind of things. We got to keep them in balance within ourselves. What about that one, like mother and father? I got to tell you, like inside of me, in my professional life, father has just really been so dominant. And I really want to find balance. I've been in this same corporate job for the last 10 years. And, you know, I'm miserable there. I sit in my car, my white Nissan Versa, at lunchtime, and it's too small for me, you know, and I'm like kind of crunched up, and sometimes I just cry, you know, and then I'm sitting there crying in my car. It's outside of an industrial supply company in Santa Fe Springs, and I hear like this massive Budweiser truck roll by, and I kind of snap out of it, and I look at my watch, and it's 2 minutes past 1, and I have to dash back into my cubicle so that I get there before my manager, Simon Fuxberg, that's his real name, that he gets back and takes me to the windowless room to have a conversation with me about my lack of adherence to the attendance policies. Now, they're happy with my work there. So it's just the kind of place that really grates, and you know, it's super regimented. I go in at 7:30, I have a break at 9 o'clock, lunch at 12:15, and a break at 2:30. And sometimes, like towards the end of the week on Thursday, I've started to refer to the place as the compound. And I'm sitting on a bench outside of the break room, and I'm looking longingly into the distance. And, you know, basically there's this like invisible electrified perimeter around the compound that I'm just hoping there's going to be a breach in it that I can run through it and escape. But anytime I try it, I just get zapped back into my cubicle, and I'm feeling shame, and Fuxberg is looking at me like, what's the problem with you? So this whole thing of like, I guess I wanted to be my father's son and keep him happy. And I did, it's paradoxical, but I got a chance to take a break from the job, the industrial supply company. When my father fell ill a couple of years ago, I went back to Ireland. I was able to take family and medical leave, and I went home. And while I was there, I spent some time with my father, but I also started spending time with some artists and writers and dancers and poets. And you know, I started to feel a little bit looser about myself, and I was like, okay, my God, my father spent his whole life in this job, really neglected his passion, and at the end of his life was quite unsatisfied with his career. I cannot let that happen to myself. So the question arises for me, who am I if I'm not my father's son? So I go back to work, and I'm back in LA, and now it's just really horrendous, you know? I'm trying to figure how can I get out of there, but I've got those golden handcuffs. It's like, shit, you know? I'm bound to the mortgage, and I can't picture how am I going to escape. But I start doing things like I go to the Esalen Institute. I'm sure some of you have probably heard of it, okay? But for those of you who haven't, this is like kind of a hippie commune started in the 60s by a couple of, you know, people who were doing a lot of experimentation with LSD. And then they, you know, it evolved, and now it's really for new age moneyed hippies, you know, to go and sit in the hot springs for a couple of days or do a dance workshop or something like that. But anyway, I started to go to Esalen quite a bit just to cultivate that more creative side of myself. And it was working, but I was really feeling the tension with the job, and it was just like I was ready to burst, you know? And so last November, I'm sitting in the dance dome. I'm actually atop this huge mound of pillows, like about 12 feet tall of pillows. The dance dome, for those of you who don't know, it's this like huge yurt on the side of the Pacific Ocean. And I'm lying up there on those pillows, and I'm crying, and I've got my hand reached down the side of me, and there's this woman, and she's holding my hand. And it's somebody that I've met over the weekend. We've been dancing together. She's a very sweet lady. So she's holding my hand, looking up, and she says, Kieran, I'm a life coach, and I feel moved to offer you a free session. So it's free, right? Okay, so I kind of dry off my eyes, and I climb down off the pillows, and we go outside, and in view of the Pacific, we're sitting there, and she says, so, tell me a little bit about yourself. And so I start to tell her my story, and she listens, and then she says, you know, I'm getting a really strong, intuitive hit here. Are you interested in hearing it? So I'm like, okay, it's still free. I want to hear this, you know. So she says, quit your fucking job. So that was clear. And I went back to LA, and it took me a couple of months to do it, but I did actually leave the job, and it turned out like the day that my father died was the day that was scheduled to be my last day in the office. So, you know, I went back to Ireland. I did get a chance to say goodbye to him, and we had a funeral, we buried him, and I spent some time in Ireland with my family. And then I came back here, and I was free. No more industrial supply company. So I wasn't daddy's little boy anymore. And what did I do? I went to Esalen for 3 months. I went and I did farming, and I did like dance and theater and all that good stuff. But things really got going in the summer when I went to Northern California dance camp, which is in the Sequoias. It's this extravaganza of dance where you can just really let loose and become who you are. And so I was just having this amazing time at dance camp, and I'm sitting at breakfast one morning at a bench, and I'm looking across, and there are these girls that they're working on macrame or something like that, and they've got Mars, this art teacher, with them, and she's helping them make these different things. And so then suddenly, all of them stand up, and I had done a little bit of work with them, I'd done some theater with them. They turn around, and they start sort of sailing towards me in unison, like a bevy of swans, you know? And they're coming towards me, and they have this object in their hand that they're bearing, and it's kind of like, we have something for you. I'm like, okay. And they said, kneel down, please. So I knelt down. And this one girl, like as if she's going to knight me, puts it on my shoulder, and she says, arise, rainbow feather. Colors shoot from my chakras. By the rainbow, you'll know me. My heart now is strong like Atlas. No corporate job can hold me. I am Rainbow Feather, a poet and a dancer from the realm beyond. A lover, not a fighter. Check out my magic wand. I've come here on a mission to spread joy in this land. Come on, children, catch the vision. Take this rainbow by the hand. I will lead you on a journey through a spectrum of color. You too, a prism of sunlight story. Let's all celebrate the Divine Mother.